And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I am Michael DeLon, and today I am talking with Amanda Rose Igoe. Amanda Rose, thank you for being my guest today.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, it's going to be a great conversation. So, Amanda Rose helps primarily female entrepreneurs and business owners and coaches to learn how to, as I was talking with her, how to increase sales without spending money on marketing. And she does that by helping us understand how to become better speakers, better presenters. And we're going to dive into that because, as she told me, anytime you open your mouth, you're presenting, you're talking, you're speaking. We need to get better at that because that's the fastest way to close more sales. So, as we get into this conversation, Amanda Rose, tell me, how in the world did you get doing what you're doing today?
I think sometimes fate puts you in places you don't expect. And I was
Hmm.
a social worker and I loved helping people while I was kind of burnt out. So I took a job with a nonprofit. And they didn't tell me when I took the job that I'd literally have to stand in front of hundreds of people and speak. I was a horrible communicator. I had nervous laughter, ahs and ums. I'm like, what? But I also like to say my mother didn't raise a quitter, and I could have quit the job, but I didn't. And I said, all right, I'm going to figure this stuff out. I'm going to learn the art of speaking because I didn't want to fall flat on my face. I didn't want people to laugh at me. And so what happened through the whole process of doing that is I opened to talents and gifts that I didn't realize I had, which was creating content, making it fun and engaging. I was talking about charitable gifts and annuities, one of the most boring subjects on the world. But I got people raising their hand, yoo-hoo and yahoo, and trying to win prizes. And the organization came to me, the board members came to me and said, you need to teach everyone to do what you were doing because no one's doing it like you. But also at the same time, I was doing some personal development. And if you've ever done personal development, you can't stay in the status quo.
Right.
And I started to realize that I really wanted to be out there speaking. And I've been in business 18 years, as my business has evolved, when I first launched my business, it was about me speaking, but I realized that I had gifts and talents that I needed to teach other people when it came to speaking.
Yeah.
And so 18 years, here I am.
That's amazing. Well, I love it. You don't know this about us. So my family, we're a homeschooling family. We were raising four kids. I've got two boys who are out of the house. Those two boys, and because they're my sons, we are not athletic. And so we didn't do sports when we were growing up. We did competitive speech and debate for 5 years. And so both of my sons are very articulate because we train them in speaking. But what I find is most business owners haven't done that. And they have not they don't have confidence when it comes to speaking. They think they can just wing it, and there's a better way to do it in order to really, as you would say, magnetize your audience, get them in the palm of your hand so that you can monetize your message and really make a bigger impact. Whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're a for-profit, it doesn't matter. You have a message to communicate. How are you doing that? Talk a little bit about the importance of looking at presenting and communication in all of those areas. And then let's talk about some ways to get better at it.
Okay, awesome. Now you touched on this in the beginning is every time we open our mouth, we are speaking. One-to-one conversation, we're speaking. Whether it's a prospective client, a team, we are speaking. Hosting a webinar, you're speaking. Interviewed on a podcast, you're speaking. Speaking to a group of live people, you are speaking. And so imagine that you're in a presentation. We're going to use a typical live audience, and there's 40 people in the room, and somebody's reading a bunch of PowerPoint slides. What happens? You instantly check out and go, oh, I could read this stuff at home, right?
Man.
And so it's so important that when you're the magnetize is so that they lean in and listen to what you're saying. Especially if you're somebody who's impact driven, you want to make the biggest difference. Them leaning in and listening to you is key because one, they're going to apply the information that you're sharing with them. They're more likely to hire you if you're a coach, consultant, business owner. And then also too, they're going to tell everyone that they know about you. Oh my gosh, Sally Joe was on the podcast. Tim Smith was our guest speaker. You need to have him speak. Everybody's going to be talking about how amazing you are when you can do that effectively.
Yeah. And it's so we've all been there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we've also, I think, a few times have been in a place where we've been in the audience and we are magnetized. And
Yep.
we, wow, how'd they do that? And it's not as difficult as most people think when they understand there are some strategies, there are some do's, some don'ts. I noticed your verbal crutches there, the ums and the uhs and the likes and all of that, getting rid of them. But we don't know how to get there, right? Talk
Mhm.
about, before we get to the how to help and all that, let's talk to the business owner. A lot of my business owners that listen to this, I mean, they might do some speaking in public. They do a lot of webinars. They do a
Mhm.
lot of presentations. They do podcasts, right? What's going through their mind right now before they reach out to you to go, I'd never really thought about that. What are some tips that you can give them? So what are they struggling with when they think about this whole world of, they don't even give it credit, honestly, of becoming a better speaker. They don't see the value in that. Do you find people with that?
I think so, because it's from a business owner perspective. If they're presenting to a group of 40 people, just 40, it doesn't need to be a super big audience, and just 20% of those become clients. And if somebody charges $2,000 for their program, that, think about what that income is right there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they don't even have to have a whole bunch of people move forward with their
Right.
programs. And so that's the monetized side of it. But the other parts of it is that, one, remember, you want to magnetize them. So from the time you open your mouth, and people miss this big time, you have to get them to think very quickly, oh my gosh, I needed to be here today.
Yes.
I needed this. Whether it's an interview, whether it's a webinar, anything, because quickly they will check out. They'll go,
Right.
well, not that interesting. So people often start with, hey, everybody, good morning. Everybody good today? How is everybody today? Is that a way to open with a bang, grab their attention? No.
Yeah.
So your opening needs to really highlight a problem that they are having, a problem that your talk and your programs or your book can help them solve. So you really got to dial that in, whether it's a question, whether it's a story. There's many different ways to opening a statistic that gets them to say, oh my gosh, I need to be here today.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ways you can get them right away. And that's in webinars too, please. Please, please, please do these things in webinars too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really trying to put yourself in the seat, in the shoes of that audience person, whoever they are, whether they're on a webinar, whether they're on a podcast, whether they're in an audience. They are thinking about a dozen other things. How are you going to capture their attention very quickly? And usually it's because, I love what you said, the problem they're having. They are your audience. They're looking at you because they have a problem that hopefully you can solve. Let's start with that. Let's get them in. And then when I do webinars and things, and you can tell me if I'm bad at this or whatever, but I usually don't do the, hey, this is who I am, until, 5, 6, 7 minutes into the presentation, where I've already got them. I say, here's what we're going to do. Now, here's a bit about me. I mean, and I phrase it this way. Here's why you should be listening to me. And then I give them the background of how I've helped other business owners who are struggling with the same kind of problems. And then we go from there. But I don't lead with, hey, you should be listening to me. Who cares? Who cares about who I am? You're
Mhm.
only concerned about you. And as you craft your messages, you've got to do it with your audience in mind. Is that how you start kind of helping business owners?
Absolutely, because it's really, so if somebody decides to work with me, I send them, besides a conversation, I send them a series of questions asking, really, what is the biggest problems your audience is experiencing, and how do you help them solve those problems? Now, this is what I'll typically get from a lot of people. Well, they experience stress. Okay. Does stress make people go, oh my gosh, I need help with stress? They know stress is in their life, but what's the biggest hair on fire problem that their stress is causing them? Right?
Yep.
Are they losing sleep over their stress? Is their stress impacting them financially? Is their stress impacting their relationships? They got to go real deep into that, like, hair on fire problem, the thing that keeps them up at night, the thing that makes them sweat, the thing that makes them feel crappy in their life.
Yeah. Hair on fire. I love that. If your hair's on fire, you're going to take care of it. But
That's right. You're going to do something about
it's
it.
really, when we think about speaking and presenting, it's in the same category as marketing. If you're going to do a Facebook campaign, guess what? You're going to ask very similar questions. So I need, if you're listening to this, you've got to understand that speaking is marketing. It just happens to be marketing that you have 100% control of.
Yes.
You can control it much better. And the thing I love about speaking, especially in public and on things like this Zoom, is I can see your reactions. Talk a little bit about, in communicating and speaking, the importance of being able to see your audience and maybe on the fly change something you're doing to re-engage them. How do you keep that audience going when you've got a 25-minute presentation going? And sometimes it can get boring if you're not good at it, right?
Right, right. So let's look at it from a live audience.
Mm-hmm.
Even and also from a online, is constantly checking in with them. So live is easy because you can see them, turning right to the side, looking a little confused. Then you need to clarify something or repeat something or restate something or do something different to kind of fix that situation. So a live audience is a little bit easier. A webinar where you're seeing everyone allows you to kind of see it, but you can't see them as well because you can't really see the little micro movements that you might notice in person. So constantly checking in with them. What did you learn about this in the chat? And maybe have a team member monitor the chat because you don't want to be trying to go through your presentation and be distracted by a lot of chat messages.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're asking them to do something in the chat, and you can tell in Zoom and probably other platforms, are they responding? I don't need to read the chat. I can tell whether they're responding or not. Is the number going up? Meaning they are reacting to my webinar.
Mm-hmm.
And so check in with them. And the beauty of it too is when you're done with your presentation, don't go with people just saying, oh, that was great, thank you. Because great and thank you mean nothing. Nothing. Everyone, I've told people, just because I'm a nice person, oh, that was great. And I know it wasn't, but it didn't, they weren't asking for my help. So I'm not going to push it on them. They know what they do. If they want my help, they can come to me. And so ask them, what was your biggest takeaway? That has always told me right then and there, which were the biggest takeaways from my audience. So when I have different signature talks that I do. So when I do the signature specific ones, I'll make sure that those are ones that they really resonate with the most. Those are the ones that I need to do.
Yeah. I love that phrase, signature talk. And I want to dive in there because a lot of my audience are authors. Not all of them are. Regardless, I think every business owner needs to have a signature talk. Something that you could, if the Chamber of Commerce called you today and said, hey, we've got a luncheon today, our speaker called in sick, could you come and talk? You could say, absolutely. Let's talk about the importance of a signature talk and how do you help somebody create something like that they could use in a variety of ways?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk about a signature talk. A signature talk is a presentation that you can do over and over again. You can use that signature talk for podcast interviews because the questions follow the same format that you are going to use in a live presentation, in a webinar. You can use it, you can break up the content and use it in your social media. It's amazing how many times you can over and overuse it. I like to say you want to have a signature talk that sells, meaning that it's not only going to communicate your message, but it's going to get clients for you. It's going to have people raising their hand or running back to the room saying, oh my gosh, I got to have this program. And so the beauty of it is you can do it over and over again. And you want to have a signature talk that you've nailed, that you know converts, that gets the response from the audience from a heart-centered place, but also them moving forward with you, and you do it over and over again. You don't need 5 zillion signature talks.
Right.
Okay? You don't.
One.
Get one, use it until you get bored with it. Yeah. And do another one.
It's funny you say that, but we go back to like Zig Ziglar. The dude wrote, I don't know how many books, and he really had one thing to say. And I've had so many. John Piper is one of my favorite pastors. He's written 50 or 60 or 70 books. He's like, you just have to buy one book. I say the same thing in all of my other books. I just come at it from a different angle.
Mhm.
And in a sense, that's what a signature talk is, because here's what came out of what you just said. Create a signature talk that sells. And then you can use it in all of your marketing. And what it does is it simplifies your marketing, because you never really have to think about what I'm going to say, because it's there. And it builds consistency in your message, which builds credibility, because you keep saying the same thing. And pretty soon I'm going to go, I probably need to reach out to that Amanda Rose, because every time she talks, I think about whatever.
That's
And
right. That's right.
when you have that signature talk, it's so powerful. Sorry, go ahead.
And the thing that many people will come to me and they might have gone to another training, which is fine, and they'll give them a template and say, here, go create your talk. I actually write it with my clients, literally write
Really?
together from opening to closing. So we are literally going through a whole process together. Okay, here's my thought on your opening. What do you think about that? Oh, I love that. Can we tweak this a little bit? So it has their energy, their content, their messaging. It just has my writing skills connected to it.
Really? Okay. Okay. If you're listening to this, stop, go back to the last a minute or so, and listen to that. Let me just rephrase what I just heard you say, Amanda Rose. You work with a client, a business owner, let's say. You write their signature talk with them, versus
Yes.
saying, here's a template, go back next week, let's talk about what you created. You're
Yep.
working with them. Okay. Folks, that's amazing, because that's how we create books, right? We work with clients and we've got writers, but I think that's amazing, because that scares the daylights out of most business owners, is how do I put in on paper what I want to say and make it compelling? Let's talk more
Yeah.
about
And make
that, because
sure
that's
that
amazing.
we're not dumping information, because anybody who's an expert in something, you feel you have to tell them everything. You do not, but it's figuring out what is the best content for you to share in that signature talk.
Yeah. And one of my contentions is, people today are not looking for more information. I have Google. What I'm looking for is somebody I can trust and relate with, who can help me solve whatever problem I'm having. That is where a signature talk will separate you from everybody else, because you're going to resonate with your ideal client. Fair?
Fair. You building the know, like, and trust factor.
Yeah.
And
And
so it's different than, social media is great, but popping up a video. But if they have 40 minutes with you, half an hour, an hour with you,
yeah.
you have the opportunity to build that know, like, and trust factor by sharing your story as part of your content and giving value, getting them engaged and educating them at the same time. I mean, there's nothing like it, in my opinion.
There's not, so take your signature talk. Here's how I think marketing, right? Take your signature talk and then create like a 1 or 2 page PDF of the bullet points of your talk. Give that away free every time you do your talk. And that's something of value that your audience can now take. And guess what? There's a QR code or a place to book an appointment with you when they're ready.
That's right.
But you're giving away value, and you're positioning yourself as the expert in this area, whatever it is. And you're probably the only one who's doing it, because most of your competitors are scared to death to speak, and they're boring. And so that's why you
So
need to work
boring.
with Amanda Rose.
So boring.
It's just the truth, right? Because not everybody's like me and you. We have practiced and honed our craft for many, many years. And I think that's why we come across very compelling, very engaging, because we've done it. It's a learned skill. And
Yes.
Amanda Rose can take you through a process to work with you to craft your signature talk, and to help you understand the loopholes, the pitfalls that most people make in doing presentations. Most of them are, well, to Amanda Rose, they're super obvious. She can probably tell you in one call the 5 or 6 things that you need to change. But when you understand the profit that's at the end of the rainbow, that if you're doing a presentation, let's say you're doing a webinar, you got 20 people on it, and normally you convert 2 or 3. What if you could convert 4 or 5, and out of
Yep.
those convert one extra client because of your presentation skills? Doesn't cost you any more marketing money. The people are paying to get there. It's because
Yep.
you're connecting well. That to me is the best way to really increase sales without spending more money on marketing, is to get
Yep.
better at speaking and presenting. Is that
It's so true. And then today, there's a couple of things around closings, is many people will end their presentation with, all right, everybody, it's been great being here, and I hope you found the presentation helpful. If you want some help, come and see me. That is not a closing
Not a
at all,
closing.
right? No. And the other part is that hard sell.
Yeah.
We are way too wise to
Right.
fall for a hard sale.
Yeah.
And so they want to know that you really care about them,
Yeah.
that you are doing this because you feel from your heart that you want to help them. And that has to be communicated in the closing. That
Yes.
emotional point is just important as some of the essential details of your offer.
Oh, totally, totally. And I think one thing that really scares business owners when they think about all this is that pressure of, oh, I've got to transition into the sales portion or the close. And what I'm sure you teach, because I've taught people this for years, is there's not really a big transition, because I tell people up front, I've got an offer for you at the end. You don't have to take it, but I'm going to tell you what it is. And when I get there, it's like, okay, there are a couple ways you can take what I've given you. There's a lot of value. You got the PDF, go. If you like my help, then schedule a call with me. I mean,
Yep.
sometimes it's so simple, but it's because I look at speaking as a conversation. And
Mm-hmm.
I think too many times we put it in a category that it really doesn't need to be put into, that, well, I have to be. It's not like you're doing a movie, right? This is me. And it's okay if occasionally I say, occasionally, because that's how I speak. And I make mistakes, and that's okay because it makes me real.
That's right.
But you've got to relate to people, and learning how to speak well is a skill. It's something you need to work on in your business. It needs to be a valuable part of what I would call your overall marketing philosophy and budget. And if you're not investing in yourself to become a better presenter, then you're leaving money on the table.
1,000%, 1,000%, because everything that you're doing in your talk matters. And so that's where that understanding the entire process of it is key. And then having a system that you can use over and over again, because I'm not just writing with the talk with the clients, is I am teaching them a system they can use for future signature talks. And it's called a talk because it's a conversation,
That's right.
right?
It
It's not
really is.
talking at them, it's talking with them and
Yes.
engaging with them, from everything from your body language, from the things that you share. Every element of it is engagement. Education, entertaining, and empowering them with your information is key.
It is. It is. And when you think presenting, okay, and I'll go on a little rabbit trail and come back, is when you've been in my world a little bit. You know how
Mhm.
many videos I do. I do a lot of
Yep.
Loom videos. I do Zoom video. I do all. That's all presenting. Every one of those is structured with a certain uh, purpose and reason. And when you watch those, and now when you talk with me, I hope I'm the same person. It builds confidence and trust. Business owners can do that. So don't just relegate speaking to being on stage or webinars. It's every time you open your mouth. I love how you say that.
That's right.
And when you work with Amanda Rose, here's the deal. It's like a 2 or 3 for 1, because you're going to get trained. She's going to help you understand it. And then you're going to be able to teach your team members who answer the phone, who interact with clients, how to speak better, and that's going to help your entire team to grow. And I'm sure Amanda Rose could train them as well, but because she's helping you with a system, you're going to grow in your knowledge and expertise. You're going to be able to train and become a better leader of your business, a better CEO, and train your team how to present and share your message once you understand how Amanda Rose can help you craft that signature message.
Think about Tony Robbins. Does Tony Robbins go out and do local presentations? No. He's trained people to go out and do it for him.
Yes, very much so. And
Hmm.
that's the model that you can replicate regardless of how big you ever want to be. But first, Tony had to figure out how to do it. And he tried and he failed and he kept trying and he perfected it. And that's one thing that you said earlier is you write it, you practice it, you do it. It's not going to be right out of the gate, but you're going to learn, oh, I need to change that. I'm still honing my message after 12 years of business. I'm still crafting it, because it's my audience changes, I change. And it's one of those aspects of our business that informs everything, because my message on my website, my LinkedIn profiles, all of that comes back to a core message that I get to communicate every time I open my mouth. I love how you say that. How do people get a hold of you? What's the next step? Because I know that there are people going, yeah, I could use some help in this area as I look at this year or next. Talk a little bit about how do you work with people? What kind of programs and things do you do with them? And then where do they go to find you?
Okay, great. Great. So I've done group programs as well, but right now I'm focused on my private clients. And so I do intensives, which is a VIP day. Like we literally get all your signature talk done, all your booking speaking engagements. I teach an entire process for actually finding, contacting, and booking podcasts, summits, live presentations, the whole thing. We do everything together, and myself and my team do all the documents that you need, literally step by step. And then there's a 4-month program, which there has little more hand holding in it, in the sense of, we're going to work on your stage presence, because your stage presence is important. We're not only working on your signature talk, we're working on all your speaker marketing, booking speaking engagements, as well as having a captivating stage presence. Right. And so you can learn more about that. And a really great place to start is to schedule a 15 to 30 minute strategy call with me. If you go to amandarose.com, that's AMONDAROSE.com, Google or whatever web internet you're using will try to tell you it's Amanda. It's AMONDAROSE.com. And there you also find my speaker personality quiz, so you can find out what type of speaker you are too.
I love that when I saw that on your website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that, make sure those are in the show notes, because entrepreneurs, we're busy, we're doing things. But I want you to reach out to Amanda Rose, amandarose.com, and take the quiz. She's got a really cool quiz right there on the homepage. But poke around a little bit and learn more about how are you going to be able to use your voice to generate more clients, to generate more revenue, to generate more impact every time you open your mouth. So, Amanda Rose, we could talk for a long time, because
yes, we could. It'd be so much fun.
This is great, but I'm a big fan of speaking, because it's one of the best ways to get your message out. But I'm a bigger fan of speaking clearly and powerfully and purposefully, and that's what you help people do. So thank you for doing what you do, the way you do it, helping them actually write it. That's amazing. That's worth gold there, folks. It's not a template. It's not an off the shelf, here, go do this. It's, I'm going to work with you. We're going to get this thing done. And for the rest of your life, you're going to be profiting every time you open your mouth. So
amen to that. Love it.
Amanda Rose, thank you so much for spending some time with me today.
Thank you, Michael. It's been my pleasure.